Colorado's high-definition news leader. This is 9 News 7 a.m.
Looking at a tough start to the day, perhaps a triple-digit sell-off on the Dow. Stocks lost some ground on Monday between what's known as the summer doldrums and a lack of economic news. Traders really didn't have a whole lot to focus on. Stocks had an early lift after HP bid about 33% more than Dell for a big data storage provider. But as you can see, the gains faded pretty quickly. The Dow fell about 39 points. The Nasdaq was off 20, and the broader S&P was down more than 4 points. Looking ahead, we're going to look at sales of previously owned homes later today. That report from the National Association of Realtors is expected to show a decline from June's levels. Some analysts think the annual sales rate could plunge below 5 million for the first time since June of last year. Now, those aren't predictions anyone wants to hear, particularly because the housing market is really a good indicator of the overall economic health of this country and how we're doing locally. Joining us now in the Information Center is former U.S. HUD Secretary Henry Cisneros. Thanks so much for coming in, Mr. Cisneros.
Greg, thank you.
As we just mentioned, more weak news in the housing market expected to come out. What does that tell us about what's going on in the country and more particularly in the metro area right now?
Well, I think that what it says more than anything else is that we have to stay the course as a country and continue to stimulate the housing market. Last week there was a major conference in Washington focusing on the role of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac in buying mortgages and selling them, and the government affirmed that they must continue to exist in that kind of role. That's critically important. We see FHA working hard to try to stem foreclosures and stand behind with insurance and guarantees. And even at the local level, Mayor Hickenlooper last week announced a program to assist families and stem foreclosures. So it is clear that as a country and as a metro area, it is important to keep the housing sector moving forward because, as you just said, housing is so integral to the national economy. Some say as much as 15 or 20% of GDP is involved in housing construction, appliances, materials, transportation, the whole housing sector. So we've got to stay the course.
As you well know, though, foreclosures is still this dark cloud hanging over for a lot of people. Now, we are doing somewhat better here in Colorado and seeing some improvement. You mentioned Mayor Hickenlooper's program, but some of the national programs the Obama administration has launched to try to help people with this issue have not really done all that well. What's your take on that? What more needs to be done?
Well, I think, first of all, some of the programs did not do well initially. I think they've revamped them and added some incentives in order to make them work better. The key has been to work with the banks. The banks have a critical role here. You can't get foreclosure modifications without the cooperation of the banks, including banks that hold second liens. That's a kind of a complication in the foreclosure problem. But it is clear that we must deal with the foreclosures because they serve as a deflator of confidence for people, for the market generally. And builders are not going to start building again when they're competing with homes that are selling at 60 cents on the dollar that are discounted because they've been foreclosed upon.
We are out of time, unfortunately, Mr. Cisneros. But real quickly, before I let you go, you think, we were talking out in the newsroom, you think it's going to be at least a year before we see some dramatic shift in the housing market?
I think we're going to see steady improvement, and particularly in Denver with its strong economy. My company, CityView, has a community in Boulder. We call it the Peloton. And we've sold about 70 homes over the last year there, about $23 million worth of homes. So I have great confidence that the Denver metro is steadily coming back. And frankly, with the low interest rates and the lower pricing, this is a time for people who are going to be in the market eventually to think about entering now.
Henry Cisneros, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Former HUD Secretary giving us some insight.
That's great.
He's been involved in that industry for quite some time and still is.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, Greg, thanks.
Coming up tomorrow on 9 News 8 a.m., Greg will have a special retrospective to mark the upcoming 5th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. He's going to talk to Michael Brown, the former FEMA chief, who got a lot of blame for what went wrong. You know, Brownie. That'll be tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Have a great day, everybody, and dry out. We'll see you over on Channel 9 for 9 News at noon. Take good care.
The 9 News Networks, where news comes first. Get your weather now with our new 9 News iPhone and Android weather app.